So chapter 9 is about alkynes. And alkynes are these carbon-carbon triple bond functional groups that we learned about back in chapter 2. And these triple bonded carbons, right, to kind of jog our memories here, are sp hybridized, right, so they have a linear geometry. And if we were to kind of draw them out, right, they have this motif here, right, where we have, because again they're linear, we just have this linear represented carbon-carbon triple bond, okay? And alkynes have similar reactivity to alkenes, right? We learned how to make alkenes in chapter 7, and we learned how to react them with all those reactions we learned back in chapter 8. So the first thing we're going to do before we look at some reactivity is learn how to name them. And the general rules for naming still apply, but now we're just going to add alkyne to the mix here. And alkynes are a little bit easier than alkenes, right, because there's no stereochemistry involved, right? We can't, because alkynes are linear, there's no E or Z designation like there was with alkenes. So let's take a quick look at some examples here following these general rules, okay? So let's take a look at this alkyne here. And Truth actually drew this incorrectly, right? Because we want that to be linear like this, okay? Not like how we had it before. So with this alkyne here, right, we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons, okay? So we know that bute is our parent here, right? And if we're looking at our rules for naming alkynes, we want to start the longest continuing chain, beginning where the number of the alkyne has the lowest possible number, okay? So see here, right, our alkyne here is starting very simply at 1, right? So we would want to have this be 1-ine, right? And so if we were to put this all together, the molecule would be named but-1-ene, okay? Or ine, sorry. Butyne. Another way you could write this, and either one is fine. Instead of having the numerical designation of the alkyne be in the middle, you could have it at the beginning here of the chain like this. Depending on how you learned naming, either one is fine, but I will be doing it primarily like this, where the number is in the middle of the molecule. All right, let's look at another quick example here. Let's go ahead and look at a little more of a complicated example. Let's look at something that has a double bond as well as a triple bond. And so let's go ahead and, as we've done before, go ahead and just number out the parent chain here. Right, so we see this has 6 carbons, right? So hex is our parent chain here. And notice, right, we have a double bond and a triple bond, right? And pretty easy to see, no matter which way we number it from, we would be starting at the alkene being at the 2 position or the alkyne being at the 2 position, right, if we numbered it from right to left instead. So we have an equal choice, right? And so according to number 4, double bonds take priority over triple bonds. So the way I have it already numbered is correct, right? We want to start with the alkene being in the lowest number possible, right, when we have this option here, right, this choice. So, right, putting the pieces together, we know this is 2-ene, 4-ine, right, for the alkyne. And so putting this all together, we have hex, 2-ene, 4-ine. And one other piece of information we need to put here, right, is with the alkene, right, there is a stereochemical designation we need to give, right, remembering our E and Z rules, right? And so we see that we have, right, we have a methyl group here and all this business over here on opposite sides, so we know that this is E. Right, we have this be E or, for example, 2E. But you don't need to put the 2 there because there's only the 1 alkene. So like this, as we have it, is totally fine. And just to sort of reiterate here my previous point, having these numbers in the middle is totally fine, right? This is the sort of formal correct way to do it, but depending on how you learned it, you might have put the numbers before the actual name. So another way to write this that would also be correct would be to say this: 2,4 hex in ein, right, with the numbers here correlating to, right, 2 ein and 4 ein. But, as I've said before, I'm going to have naming done primarily this way. And so in class we'll look at some more examples here on naming.